Welcome to the Voice of Putnam County Business. This is the podcast of the Putnam County Business Council, where we will be discussing all things related to Putnam County business climate and economic development in the county. We have Nick D'Andrea, General Manager of Park Ford. He is a director of the Putnam County Business Council, and also Nat Prentice of Prentice Investment Management, LLC. Nat is also the president of the Putnam County Business Council and also president of the Cold Spring Chamber of Commerce. We will welcome our host right after a brief message from our sponsor.
When Country Willow Furniture found people staying at home instead of furnishing their homes during the pandemic, the store worried about the loans that fueled their dramatic growth. But Tompkins Bank knew that solid relationships, like solid furniture, last far into the future. The value of a bank in your corner, the values of a bygone era. Tompkins gives you both, and the best banking relationship you'll ever have. Tompkins, your bank of choice. Find out more at tompkinsbank.com.
Welcome back to the Voice of Putnam County Business. Nick D'Andrea here alongside Nat Prentice. Once again, Nat.
Always good seeing you, Nick.
Love it, man. Love it.
You know, you're the co-host that everybody would hope to have. And today I want you to come to know, because our guest today is James Matero, who is the current owner and principal in a family firm called Jaymark Jewelers that's located in Cold Spring, New York. And you two have quite a lot in common because you're both products of family businesses.
Well, it is a pleasure to be here. I'm kind of really glad to join and contribute, find out what Putnam County businesses need to know.
Well,
right?
there we go. That's what we're here, James. We're here to help our listeners learn from you about the things that have been the keys to the success of your business and the fact that you've kept it going for generations. But we do have to be careful to call him James because his dad was known as Jim.
Yes, my dad was Jim.
And there was a Jim
my
before.
grandfather was Jimmy or Jace. Yeah, absolutely.
And you stay with James.
I stay with James.
Okay.
Yeah, the way we used it in the showroom was I was the younger and better looking one, more refined. So I got the longer name.
There you go.
Yeah.
So why don't you kick us off? Tell us a little bit about your business. Give us a little bit of history with the family and the generations that it's gone through. Let our listeners know about Jaymark.
Well, yeah, as we were chit-chatting before this, it is a multi-generational business. So I'm actually generation number 4. My great-grandfather started the company as a wholesale manufacturing firm. So essentially they were the suppliers that supplied jewelers who just did the distribution side. Yeah. Him and his partner at the time had a line of charms, small, finely made, handmade charms. And that was through the 40s and 50s when charms were a really big, that big, heavy charm bracelet.
Yeah.
They would make things like, they had a vintage model of a snowmobile where the handles and the front skeds moved. Model T Ford, where cool. The doors opened in the hood. So they would make these small things, but they all had movable parts, and it was they loved kind of showing off their craftsmanship that way. And over time, my grandmother got married to a lovely Italian gentleman named James Matero, who was just a construction worker making a good living, but needed to support the family a little more. And he said, "Hey, father-in-law, got room in the business?" And I said, "Absolutely, come on in." And so the second generation kind of joined in, and from there.
Had you moved to Cold Spring?
No. So at that point, they'd taken the business from 47th Street over to a factory space in Tenafly, New Jersey. Now that sounds a little random, and I still don't have a good explanation as to why they, who lived in Croton of all places, decided to open up a factory in Tenafly. I don't know. But that's one family secret that is long lost. And then finally they did move to Cold Spring. They thought that might be a little more practical. And finally, my grandfather took over the business and converted it from wholesale manufacturing to retail manufacturing. When you move a business into a small town like Cold Spring, people start knocking on the door and they say, "Hey, you make jewelry, make me something." Okay, sure. And so they found over the years that, oh no, we're making less charms, we're making more pieces for our retail clients. I think we're retailers. So they went from they made this wholesale to retail jump, and then we built the factory that we currently work out of now in Cold Spring, right on Route 9. And that was built in '83. My father and my grandfather had their hand in building that, and that's what I've taken over. My father retired at the beginning of '23, and I've been, owner operator ever since.
I mean, yours is the true definition of a fully integrated business.
Yes.
And you're all in one spot, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So we have everything, the factory and the showroom right there on Route 9. So it's not a very big building, about 1,800 square feet. And half of that is very pretty showroom space. And the other half is true factory. I call it a factory because that's what it is. It's a manufacturing center. We have the jeweler's benches with the propane torches, laser welders, polishing machine, casting equipment, things like that. It has factory equipment for jewelry making, and that's what we do. We make the jewelry in our showcases, and that's what we sell.
And help our audience understand the true benefits of being integrated, because as I understand your business, that's the way you want to approach it, and it accounts for your profitability. It accounts for,
well, yes. I mean, in the jewelry trade, there's manufacturers and there's distributors, right? We kind of melded the two together. We never wanted to, well, I can't say never because that's what they did. They were wholesalers, right? But once retail became what we did, we wanted to stay true to the roots of what we did. We wanted to maintain the control over the production.
Right.
It gives us the ability to, one, we can control our timing. If you need something rush, yes, something that might normally take 6 to 12 weeks from your overseas manufacturer to get to your jeweler, who's then going to sell it to you, I can do it in 1 to 2 weeks, right? So it gives us the ability to move quickly.
Yeah.
It gives us flexibility in design. I can do the design work, and I can make whatever you want much more quickly than you can get it sourced from the overseas person back to the jeweler distributor. So flexibility in design, you're coming to me, I'm designing it in front of you using the CAD software. We're growing it on our 3D printers so that you can see the model. You know exactly what you're getting. It's a 2-scale model of the piece of jewelry. So you take it, you look at it and say, oh, wow, this is exactly what I want. Or maybe you say, oh, you know what? I need the diamonds to be bigger, whatever it might be, right? I thought I wanted round, now I want a square. Oh, the ring itself is too thick, let's make it thinner. You have complete control over the design process because I'm there designing it with you in front of you. And we can see all the different iterations. That means we can also use your diamonds and gemstones that you may have inherited or old pieces you're not wearing. We can repurpose those. We unset all those stones and create something new based off of something you're going to get more wear out of.
That's so cool. I mean, I feel like any jewelry store I've ever walked into, whatever they have is what you get, and there's not much creativity beyond that. So you kind of offer something different.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We do it a little bit different in that since we control the design process and the manufacturing process, we can control what it is, and whatever you want, we can make.
And you're in the front and the back of the business, I'm assuming. So. Talk to me about that. Talk to me about the dynamic between being the face of the business, but also in the back manufacturing where you got to manufacture.
It means that that I get pulled in a lot of directions. I mean, it's just like any business owner. I hate saying that in that aspect. I'm not particularly special in that. Yes, I have to do some of the marketing, be the face of the business, work in the showroom, and also, my role of the manufacturer. Growing up, I was trained at the bench, right? I was one of the jewelers sitting there doing the repairs, cleaning castings, and they trained me up to setting diamonds and colored gemstones. And once I got to a particular point, my father said, okay, now I actually need you to know how to talk to people too. You can't just sit in the back, right? You have to be able to talk to, because that's part of business ownership. So then they kind of transferred the apprenticeship, if you will, and I became front of house, client facing, doing design work with the clients. And then, responsibilities just kept getting added on. So now I do some of the marketing. I'm the face of the business. I do showroom sales work, but I also do all the 3D custom design and the casting that we do in-house and some of the cleaning of the castings. So I keep my hands a little bit dirty on the bench, but it's very difficult getting pulled in a lot of different directions. But it's all about, as every business manager and owner knows, time management.
For sure.
Yeah.
100%.
What other lessons do you have for our business community out
Oh,
there?
for the business community. Oh, golly. Well, there's a couple of things that I've learned that have been extraordinarily helpful over the years. One is, we all hear the phrase, the customer is always right, but we forget the full phrase. The phrase is the customer is always right in matters of taste alone. So yes, I do design work, and if the customer says they want a left-handed purple, monkey wrench out of gold, then yes, that's what they get, because that is their taste, that is their style.
Yeah, sure.
They're absolutely right in matters of taste. But in all other aspects, it is your business, and you get to run it the way you want, and you have to be respected for your time. And a lot of times we forget that because, especially jewelers like myself, we're in the service industry, we're there to please. And sometimes we give a little bit too much of ourselves to please. And so sometimes you just have to draw the line. And that's why, sometimes the customer can be wrong when they're wrong, but not in matters of taste.
I love that. And I experience it as well in my business. And again, this is more focused towards some of the business owners in the county. And one of the things that you deal with, unfortunately, is there's people that come in and will not respect your time.
Yes.
Or be disrespectful to you and your employees. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but sometimes the best thing to do is fire a customer.
Yep. Oh, firing a customer.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it has to get done sometimes. And you run a good business. I run a good business. Customer service is where it's at. Bring people back, get your referral business in. So it happens very few and far between.
Yep.
But it's out there.
Yes. You want to do everything you can to maintain the client experience, make sure they understand you're giving the best customer service possible. But there comes a certain point where you're giving too much of yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what, this isn't working for me, and it's clearly not working for you, I think. But again, it's service. You're never going to get 100% of the things right. It's just so I can run 95% of my customers perfectly, and they're all happy, and 95% of my customers are lovely people. There's 4% that there's some trouble, we work through it, and there's 1% you're just never going to make happy.
Yeah.
And when you hit those speed bumps, one of the other lessons that my dad in particular instilled in me, even if it costs you, take the path of least resistance. You can't fight with someone who's not fighting. If they come in and they have an issue, even if this repair is 5 years out of warranty, but they are stomping around your showroom, and is that unrealistic of them? Sure, but is it a lot easier just to say, you know what, you're absolutely right, I will fix this for you?
Yeah.
Oh, well, how can they argue with a yes?
Yeah.
They can't. And does that cost me, and does it actually violate the warranty? Absolutely, they are wrong, but you know what? Path of least resistance.
James, I've always wanted to ask you about this.
Oh, no. My favorite color is purple.
You need to be a little familiar with the geography of the western part of the county, but there your fully integrated operation is along an industrial corridor.
Yes.
That's pretty much occupied by people who are in the extractive industry.
There's a concrete plant next to me. Thale is right up the road. There's another mine for Bank Run across the street from them. I am surrounded by Nicola's, a nice little family Italian restaurant next to me as well. But for the most part, I'm on 3 acres in the middle of the woods, surrounded by concrete plants. Yeah.
But if I said, well, why don't you leave this operation? Because we've got a great spot for you downtown, just off the train, in the village of Cold Spring. Maybe you ever regretted not being on the main street?
Oh, well, I don't know if I can say this. People are going to hear this. No, no. Growing up in Cold Spring, there's a big divide between the people that live in Cold Spring and then the people that visit Cold Spring.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And the people that live in Cold Spring, most of I don't have tourist business.
Yeah.
I'm not set up for tourist business.
Yeah.
That's not my business.
Wouldn't want it.
I don't want it. Yeah. That's one of the reasons I love where we are. I get to serve the Hudson Valley. I don't, and so the clients I have are in many cases multi-generational. I've served the same family for 3 and 4 generations. They come to me from as far away as Middletown, Hyde Park, Ossining. Actually, I have a few that are coming up from northern Jersey, which I greatly appreciate it. It's a big compliment, but that's a bit of a drive.
So your catchment area reaches.
It's fairly large, and that's great, but it's the Hudson Valley, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm still pulling the local residents of the Hudson Valley, and that I really appreciate. Tourist traffic, while I understand many businesses are built off of that and thrive off of that,
Yours,
it's not my temperament. It's not my temperament. I'm not a high volume, fast paced. I can't do that very much. I love seeing about 10 clients a day. That is what I love. And if I was on Main Street in Cold Spring, I'd have to be open Saturdays and Sundays. And on those Saturdays and Sundays, I would see 200 clients a day.
Yeah, and
that doesn't sound fun.
And then 190 of them have no interest other than their partners in one store, and they're just killing time.
Yeah, that makes it feel a little bit too much like work.
Well, so there you are, out on away from the main street.
Yep, right in the middle of nowhere. I love it.
It sounds pretty good, but there got to be some issues. So what are the issues that you're facing in the moment? Is it not enough staff? Is it regulation? Is it what are the things that worry you?
Yeah, why'd you have to go there? Yeah, I'm currently hiring for 2 positions. Yeah. I desperately need one more salesperson, and I need someone to take over the marketing. I had a wonderful marketer. She worked with us for 6 months before. I guess she did her job too well. And then West Point, the Garrison, headhunted her. I know, she was wonderful, right? Yeah, she so I'm desperately in search of someone to run my marketing again, and then I needed someone else on the sales floor. Absolutely. So staffing is always an issue, and I there's some people, you hear the phrase, hire slow, fire fast, right? Hire slow, make sure you have the right person, and if they are not the right fit, you have to let them go for the good of themselves, so you're not torturing them, and for your own business, right? It's fair to everybody, right? Well, I take that to the extreme. I hire really, really slow. So I right now I'm pulling double time at the store. Staffing is so we're hiring at Jaymark Jewelers. Where's that plug? Look at the camera. Hi. But so definitely staffing. I'm very fortunate. The staff that I have right now, they've been with me. The other jeweler who works there, aside from myself, he's been there 22, 23 years.
Really?
And then sales, she's been there 6 years. My office manager, he's been there 4 going on 5 years. So we have people who've been there a while, and that's great. Nobody's fresh, and we have a good solid long-term staff, and we like to maintain people for a long time. Because once you're in the family, it is hard for us to let you go.
Yeah. What about the whole subject of I don't know what kind of regulations jewelry operations are subjected to. New York State can be pretty harsh on some businesses,
I have to say,
and many of them are leaving. So what about you?
Yes, we are fortunate. Again, the jewelry business is one that tends to get left alone, but we face all the normal things as standard taxes. It's New York. The MTA tax, payroll tax, sales, like all of those things, right? Sure. All of the different taxes that just add up and add up and add up, right? That's the trouble with New York. Aside from regulation, gold buying is I'd say it's a large part of what we do. We actually operate a second company out of Jaymark called Powered by Gold, and that does all of the gold buying, because you have to be licensed and bonded, and weights and measures has to certify your scales. You must pay by check. You have a 2-week holding period. There are a bunch of rules and regulations that go county by county. Some counties are more relaxed, like actually Dutchess has a much more relaxed policy. Putnam has a more stringent policy, but I will say they're easy to work within, because they make it safer for us to operate it, paying by check. Gold buying, it's great, because yes, we get to purchase estates. Oh, I inherited all this gold from my grandmother, buy this, I'm going to keep the few important pieces, let's make something new out of it. It's a great way to recycle pieces, and it actually is the recycling of gold, because when we purchase it, we are then sending it to a federally licensed refinery, who's then recycling it. So all of the gold that we use is recycled gold. It's hard to get fresh gold. It costs more, and it's less environmentally sound. So all of the gold that we use in our manufacturing is recycled, and we get to be a part of that recycling process when we're buying gold. Now, following the regulations, you always get some people that don't obtain their gold in the most legal manner. And as soon as you say, I'm paying by check because that's Putnam County law, oh, you know what? No, thank you. And they go away. So it saves me from holding stolen goods, which is a big no-no. That's not something I want to ever do, you know. And so, you know, some people they walk the walk and talk the talk, and in many businesses it happens. So that's why we actually appreciate the regulations that Putnam County put into place, because it scares everybody away who's doing something that they shouldn't do. It means I feel more comfortable doing that side of the business.
So I will speak up, and I hope you can hear me, but you guys do know that Putnam County Business Council was a big part of those regulations that he's talking about.
Sorry to pull out my cell phone. What do we got? I'm also a volunteer fire. We just got
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah,
I did 10 years.
A long history of volunteer.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like I'm not going to respond to this one. I'm a little bit out of district, but I do it. So anytime I get that pattern of vibration, I have to look.
Yeah, no,
like, do I need to go right now?
It used to be the real loud pager.
That's on the windowsill in the factory right now. I left it there. Otherwise, that would have gone. So in the factory right now, they're like, "Oh my God, James, you didn't turn your pager off."
James, I noticed something else you're doing, because you, it's your family have had a history of reaching out and being very useful community members. I noticed something the other day about a program that you've entered into with our behavioral health.
Oh, the
associate.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that. Now, I know your mother may have had a little involvement there.
Retired is a loose term when it's a family business, right? So yes, my mother did have some involvement. She also sits on the board of the Hub because it is an organization that is near and dear to our hearts. So we like to support them as often as possible. And we were a sponsor for their virtual marathon that's going on, as well as May's Mental Health Awareness Month. And Jaymark, and powered by Gold Buying, arm of Jaymark, have partnered with the Hub in gold buying. And so what happens is, we buy gold from you, Nat, right? You bring in a pile of scrap gold, right? And we say, okay, here's your check for $1,000. Right. And so we pay you $1,000, and then 10% we then donate to the Hub. So the way that works is you don't get 900. No, you get your full 1,000. I then take an additional 100. So if you were to sell me $10,000 worth of scrap gold, then I take that and I write you a check for 10,000. I write the Hub a check for 1,000. Wow. So both get paid, and we're still recycling the gold. So it's good for the Hub because it raises money for much needed services throughout Putnam County. It's good for Jaymark because I get more clients experiencing the Jaymark experience. And then it's also good because we're recycling more gold and we're reducing the need to mine.
If in fact, I'm trying to think of some of the names of chain jewelry stores, but
I'm not here to dog the competition.
But if one located within a couple of miles of you, would that be? I mean, my sense is that you're in a different business than they are.
Yeah, no. Well, so and there are plenty of very good independent jewelers, within the Hudson Valley, but we all have kind of different niches, right? Some are they're independent jewelers, but they sell brands. I make my own jewelry, so I'm not going to sell it to Corey Brand. Right, but they thrive off of selling branded jewelry. So there's in essence they're distributors because they're buying from one brand and just selling it again. Right. So that part of the business has never appealed to me because that's just number crunching. That takes the art out of the business. That takes the fun out of it, the creativity out of it. So yeah, but it's a very successful business model. It's just not one that I can subscribe to. And since we are different from that, our clients are the ones that purposefully don't seek out a brand. Yeah. They don't want something pre-made. They want their own individual piece, something that was made just for them. And so that's how a lot of jewelers are able to survive within a single area. Some do just purely excellent, branded jewelry. They distribute branded jewelry. We kind of are the exact opposite, where we do no brands and everything is private label in-house.
That's it's unique. It's interesting. So you don't really get a lot of that, and
it means you can be friends with your competition, right?
Yeah,
Like, you know,
great.
we can go out to
That's-
dinner and we can all complain about the same things.
Yeah.
And we're not like, oh my gosh, I just lost a sale to so-and-so because of this, or oh man, I'm stealing this client from so. No, it means we can survive and we don't have to hate each other.
Yeah, that's good. It's convenient,
Yeah.
especially when there are a lot of big name brands of jewelry
Sure.
out there, right?
Mhm.
I have an important question for you because you're a cursor for the economy.
I was like, no, yeah, I do have foul
Right?
language. I'm a big cursor. I love foul language.
I mean, people are either spending money or they're not, right? And like,
Yeah, They are.
that's going to impact you. And you talked about sometimes it's seasonal for you before.
Yes.
You know, how do you feel about the current state of the area that we're in, especially with your business? And do you see that getting better or worse, or do you see the uncertainty of the economy kind of
So
pushing people away?
jumping way back, so the jewelry industry, especially in New York, in the Hudson Valley, things, at least in the luxury end, hit here first. At least that's been our experience.
Mhm.
So we have jeweler friends across the country, right? In 06, jewelry stores were going like crazy. You know, every one of, you know, my friends, my dad's, they were reporting their biggest year ever. Right. It was like, oh my gosh. And it can only get better from here. The economy's going like crazy. We're all loving this. 07 hit. Wow. It's got better. How on earth did this happen? Right. And then December of 2007 was our worst December ever. And it was just like, whoa, oh my gosh, what happened? What the heck happened? My dad's calling all of his jewelry store owner buddies. And they're like, what are you talking about, Jim? This is amazing. We got our best Christmas ever. 07 was the year of years. And dad's like, what am I doing wrong? What happened?
Yeah.
And then about 6 months later, all of his other jewelry buddies started screaming, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, where did all the customers go?
Mhm.
And we found that to be the case when our business dips in New York, that's when you can, okay, make you, hey buddy, I know you're in Pennsylvania, you're in South Carolina, you're up in Boston, you know, you got 6 months.
It's coming.
Clock's ticking.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's here in terms of economics and what drops, at least on the luxury side of retail, we find we are 6 to 9 months ahead of everyone else's game.
I wouldn't have known that
Yeah.
you're a harbinger of things to come.
Yeah, well, so that fast forward to the pandemic, and we were expecting absolutely horrible things to happen. We thought, okay, here we go. This is going to be it. Let's ride the wave. You know, we've ridden a few rough times before. We will survive this one too. Let's keep moving forward. We have the appropriate business strategies in place. We have fallbacks. We have safety nets. Like this is why we run a clean business the way we do. We actually run a fully debt-free business, and we've structured like that on purpose. We don't spend what we don't have, even if sometimes we really want to. You know, we just don't. We can't. So we were like, here it is. This is why we've done this. We are ready. And then it never hit.
Yeah.
And it actually got better and better and better and better. And we're still like, I've only been so I'm still in almost austerity measures. Like I'm waiting. It's going to happen. It has to happen. The clients have to stop coming in because it can't be this good for this long. We were thinking, okay, 2021 flew, great year, but you know what? Couldn't travel. All of your electronic devices were in back order, so all of my external competitors were gone.
Yeah.
Well, 2022, we're like, okay, here it is. This is gonna hurt. It kept going strong. Okay, 2023. This one's gonna hurt. Yeah, it's like 2020. No, this one's gonna hurt. Okay, here we go. We had a good 2022 Christmas. Let's January 1. Let's see it. Here it comes. They're gonna beat me up. The water's gonna turn off. Something, and it hasn't happened yet. So, as far as what's going on with the economy, I could not possibly tell you because if you listen to the news, my clients shouldn't be spending money.
Yeah.
But not a single one has come in and said, "Oh, you know what? I really shouldn't because I have to prepare, or I have this, or I have that." They're coming and saying, "No, things are good."
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's nice to hear that because when you do look at the news, like you said, it's sometimes terrifying.
And food costs a lot more than it did.
Everything.
And it got higher and it looked like they're going to stay.
Have you seen the price of gold lately? I mean, what? Even 3 months ago, it was hovering between 1,900 and 2,000, which was crazy high. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. Something happened. I can't control that price. And now it's between $2,300 and $2,400 an ounce.
What a jump.
It's a huge jump.
Yeah.
So I Can't explain it. I don't know what's going on, but I'm not bothered.
It's a real pleasure to have you. This group, our listeners, doesn't know as much about business on the western side of Putnam County as it has come to know about business on the eastern side. So we're very happy to have a representative of the riverside, if you will,
Yes.
of Putnam County, the direct line from the city line. So we want to thank you very much.
Well, I mean, it's glad to finally be appreciated. I'm just kidding. No, it's a lot of fun coming over here. Absolutely.
And I have one too, but that's good.
And I brought in a clattering that his father gave him when he graduated high school. And James made it into a beautiful wedding band.
Dave, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the trouble. I
Well,
learned a
no,
lot
pleasure's
about
all
the
mine.
business, your approach to it, and I'm sure that there are a lot of lessons for our business community that you've helped pass on today. So thank you.
No, it was my pleasure. No, thank you guys for having me over to this side of the county, and it's good to be here. And I don't know, maybe we can do something on our side of the county.
Sure.
Maybe.
Why not?
Sure.
Cool. Absolutely. All right. Well, it was a pleasure, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
That's pretty good.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Voice of Putnam County Business. Let's hear a word from our sponsor. Thanks for tuning in to the Voice of Putnam County Business, brought to you by Putnam County Business Council. We are sponsored today by the Promenade on 6. Promenade on 6 is a small business hub that is set in an industrial, modern, contemporary space that is proudly showcasing all different kinds of small businesses. You have to check it out. Go to promenadeon6.com and you will get an idea of what Promenade on 6 is. And also brought to you by Park Ford. Park Ford is located right on Route 6 in Mayapack. If you are interested in purchasing a vehicle, you're going to reach out to Nick D'Andrea, 914-774-0036. But I can tell you that I have personally bought and sold, I think, about 5 vehicles with Park Ford. In fact, I have bought cars that are not Fords through them just for the fact that I don't want to deal with any other service department. These guys are world class, whether it comes to buying and selling vehicles or getting your vehicles serviced. Park Ford.